Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Hamza Chowdhury, and in this video I'd like to talk to you about the Apple stock heading into earnings. But before I do so, I just wanted to talk about the market in general. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are sort of, curious of what's going to happen. We have no stimulus bill. It's been up and down. We've talked about sort of the reaction of the market every time we heard a tweet from either party, and I really could care less about which side of the aisle you're on. At the end of the day, this is a community, and all we do is we care about each other and we support each other. And some of you guys might be hurting. I've seen the S&P go down significantly, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and when the markets come down, a lot of people are going to get stuck, right? So what we need to do is understand, and we talked about in our video a couple weeks ago about the earnings or the presidential election, is that how do we trade? How do we trade in an environment where there's unknowns, and what's the future for tomorrow? Who's going to be our president? I mean, our whole world is going to change in a week, right? Like, who's going to be the president? When's the stimulus bill? Some of you guys who are watching this video, maybe the stock market is a way out of the system. Maybe it's something that you've tried because your family or yourself was hurting during these tough economic times. And I just want to sincerely appreciate all you guys who continue to support the channel, support the videos. In all sincerity, I'm here for you. I myself, I'm taking this ride with you guys. And, honestly, there's some traders out there who've said, you know what, I'm actually just going to take a pause. I'm just going to watch this volatility and sort of let the dust settle. And there's nothing wrong with that. So what I want you guys to really do is really think about, what's your risk management plan? What's your plan? What do you want out of the market? Knowing that we have volatility, knowing that we have a sell-off, knowing we have all of this sort of price action that we deal with every day, how are you trading? Do you find yourself stuck? Do you find yourself lost and sort of wondering if this is something for you? Did you obey your risk management plan? Did you have a risk management plan? Is there something that we can do as a community to help and support each other? Is there something that you learned from your last trade that you're going to tell yourself you're not going to repeat again? Did you size appropriately? Right? Did you follow the chart patterns? Did you understand where the market was going the day that you traded? Are you holding on to a lot of swings and you're sort of tied in capital? Are you afraid to cut small losses and then they turn into bigger losses? So these are all questions that I'm sure that every trader faces. And what I wanted to do is just help you understand that you're not alone. Everybody goes through these. A lot of things about trading is purely psychological. Being able to train your brain to know how you think, how you react, not to panic sell, right? And how to understand what and when and how big of a size you should take a trade. So with that said, guys, I want to jump right into it, but I did want to give some words of wisdom because, like I said, I do listen to other YouTubers. I do listen to the news, and I know there's just there's always just this fear. But before we get started on the video, keep in mind, we have a second stimulus bill that's guaranteed any moment, let's just say. And second of all, we have a vaccine, guys. This isn't coronavirus just got here and now we're like scrambling. We do have a vaccine. We know Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. We know there's a ton of these companies that are 1 month, 2 months from having a vaccine, and they're already being mass produced. So come January, February, March, the vaccine's coming out. So is the stock market going to do what it did in March? Of course not. But are there going to be buying opportunities where it dips? Sure. And we can add to those positions. If we're buying calls, we can buy them far, far in advance, right? So we're going way beyond maybe, end of 2021. So again, if there's any questions or comments that you have in this video, be happy to do so. So let's just jump right in. All right, guys. Thank you. Hey guys. So Apple has its earnings coming up this Thursday. I'm super excited. Been waiting for this moment. We needed a catalyst. Obviously, we saw how the iPhone was a major catalyst for the stock to run up to 125, 127. And obviously, the day of the event, as expected, it sort of dumped. And because the market's been selling off, like I mentioned in my previous video, is that we're seeing still an uptrend, but now we're starting to see just a general market sell-off. So as the stock sort of unwinds itself and sells off, it's going to hit the previous supports and resistance that we've had for the stock. And just today, we saw a solid 112.88 bounce, which the one support that we've talked about over and over again is the 112.60, which we'll get into in a second. What I wanted to do was sort of start off with this sort of video this article that we had that just talked about how all the analysts are sort of gearing up for the Apple stock, and I was excited because every one of these analysts has completely sees the vision of Apple and the fact that it's built its service-based businesses to a extent that it's considered a big part of its revenue outside of just the iPhone. Now the iPad and the MacBooks, yeah, there's 7-10% of its revenues, but after the iPhone, it's the service-based businesses. So in this article, that this is my Thinkorswim platform here, the consensus was that the revenue is expected to be right under $65 billion and that there's going to be a revenue of 71 cents. And what was interesting was each of these analysts have, like for example, this one had raised it from an overweight, but also had a price target of $150, and that's the Atlantic Equities. And what was interesting is as I worked my way down, I just kept reading, analyst after analyst. This analyst has it set to 133. And then the next analyst was just, one after another. They're excited about 5G. They're excited about what this company has in sort of up and coming. We know the iPhone 12 is completely blown away, but look, $135 price target. So, $132 price target. There's just one after another. It's just every one of these analysts just has this, we know we're a $2 trillion company. We know that this company is growing and that it's only getting bigger. And even despite COVID, people are still upgrading their phones. They're still subscribed to services. So it's really exciting if you're, Apple long like myself. There's a lot to be sort of excited about, and to know that the stock still has, ways to grow. And that if you are, like me, taking advantage of these sort of dip opportunities to rebuy into the stock. And so just to kind of summarize, if you haven't seen some of my previous videos, we solidified this blue line here, which is a support and a previous resistance that we had for the Apple stock. I had it about 112.60. And what we had was this massive gap leading into the iPhone 12 event. And the day of the event, we had this sort of rejection of the higher price. And then, again, because of the stimulus, right? Not necessarily just the stock, but the market in general, because we know that Apple is a big part of the SPY as well. We've had this sort of this market pullback. So this follows, again, the trend. It's not the stocks, not the company's not doing anything wrong, anything bad. It's just the general market sell-off. And that's what I was saying in my previous Apple video, was that we're the channel, the Bollinger Band is clearly uptrending. We have an uptrending, uptrending alt supports, and then we also have the channel that's sort of closer to show some consolidation. But at the end of the day, what we want to do is consolidate and break out. And one of the things with the sell-off is that we have this validation point through this consolidation at 112.60, which has been, you can look back, 10 sessions, I believe is what we said. It's, it's hit. And when we talked about the sell-off, and now it's back to consolidation, we bounced right off of that. So right when we bounced 112.88, we actually ended the day, if we look here, right, we ended the day here at we closed, I think it was like, what was it? We closed at 115.05. And so we hit a low of 112.88. So that was a good, $2 bounce from there. So now that we've had this consolidation and we've had this sort of downtrending, now we have this earnings. And what we said is it's going to be profitable. It's going to be, meet expectations or hopefully beat expectations. And so what I expect for the stock is as it continues to consolidate between the 112.50 and I believe we said the 117.50 to 118 range, is that we're going to get this breakout. And once we get this breakout, we're going to start retesting some of these highs at 125 and then eventually back up into the 130s. Okay. Now for that, remember, Apple stock doesn't move 5 to 10 points a day like some of the volatile stocks like a Tesla, right? So usually you get about a 2 to 3 point move. So in order for us to really gap up and consolidate, we need a good catalyst, which would be the earnings. So assuming we have good earnings, guys, there's no reason why we can't break out and continue in the 120, 125 range and hit that resistance. And if those earnings are solid, like I said, getting back up to into the 130s and meeting with really what the analysts are predicting for Apple. As we sort of close out this wedge, we expect this breakout right around the earnings, which is in a couple days. And then, like I said, I expect us to continue uptrending. With that said, guys, I know that this video, we talked about a handful of different things. Like I said, I'm really excited and expecting solid earnings from Apple like we always have. We can see previously how the catalyst of how previous earnings work. Like you can see this massive gap where we traded from, we closed at $96 and then we opened up the next day at 102. So about a 5-6% increase. So I expect, again, a solid earnings, beat expectations, and we'll get right back up into the 120s. I'm bullish on Apple. So with that said, guys, I hope this was useful. I hope some of the tips that I mentioned earlier in this video is helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments on any of the stocks, guys, I'd love to help you out. Throw a comment down there and I'll answer it. Okay, guys, until the next video, take care. Bye-bye.